For some reason, I thought my birthday was on a Tuesday this year. And maybe that's because the second book in the Heirs of Neverland series came out on Tuesday, July 13th. Ever since I read the first book last year, I have been waiting patiently for this book to come out. If you haven't guessed it yet, both of these books are about Neverland and Peter Pan. You might be saying, well, ain't I a little old to be reading books like this? You know, and maybe I am. Who knows? Hi, my name is NCR. Welcome to my channel. I'm not that good at reviewing books or even pronouncing words. I hope I'm pronouncing like Neverland correctly. I almost pronounce it like Netherland. But it's Neverland. And then Heirs. Is it Heirs or Hairs? Whatever, you get it. Like you understand what I'm talking about. So, you know, I love to read books. And when I find a good book to read, I just want to share it with you because I just love sharing. So at the beginning of the year, when I was making plans just for my year and just for my summer, and kind of what books I want to read, Shadow, book 2 in the Heirs of Netherlands series, was one of the few books on my reading list. And then like I said, it came out July 13th, which was a few days ago, and I reread Dust, which was is the first book in the series, and then I read Shadow, and they're both, they're really good books. One of my biggest thoughts as I read Dust for the first time is that this book should be, is that Disney should take this book and this story and turn it into like a movie or maybe even a TV series or something. These books by Swanson are so good. Let me warn you. The first book ends leaving you wanting to know how the story ends. Kara does such a good job at helping you to fall in love with the characters. But then again, who doesn't already love Peter Pan? And I really love just how she portrays him in this. It's really on. Maybe it has been a while since I've watched the Peter Pan movies, but it's really, really in character the way she tells these stories in her books and how we get to know Peter Pan in these books, and it's really awesome. And if you've watched the Peter Pan movies, you know how Peter Pan is a boy, and one of his rules is no growing up or no falling in love with girls. But in this book, he breaks those rules. He grows up and he falls in love. But this story, it's more than just it's more than just a romance story. It's a story of growing up, and I love the quotes that each of these books open with. You know, I read ebooks, so I use the Kindle app for reading ebooks. But if you had a physical copy of the book and the first few pages in, before you actually get to the story, there's a quote. So the quote in the first book is, "Someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again," and that's by C.S. Lewis. That's an okay quote. That's a nice quote. I'm going to read it again. "Someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again." But the quote in the second book, it is so powerful. It is, I read that quote before I read the book, and it made me even more excited to read it, as if I wasn't already excited enough to read the book. But the quote is, "Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children the dragons can be killed." So powerful. So powerful. I'm going to read it I read the first quote 2 times. I literally have got to read this quote 3 times maybe. "Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children the dragons can be killed." I don't know what kind of, living situation you have, what kind of home you grew up in, what kind of dragons you are personally facing. But let me tell you something, they can be killed. Dragons can be killed. And that's what I love about fairy tales and fantasy and all that. And I'm going to read this quote again because it's so good. "Fairy tales do not tell children the dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be killed." And that's by G.K. Chesterton. I don't like it when people have hard to pronounce names. These books, they're so good. You already know a little bit about they're about. And yeah, I don't know if it'd be giving too much away to say that, even though Neverland is, about almost destroyed by the end of the second book, the story does have a good ending, and of course, Neverland is not destroyed. So just a few closing things that I want to say is this, that when someone hears that these books are about Peter Pan and Neverland, they may think that these stories are published by Disney and that they're associated with Disney and all that. They're not. They are so not associated with Disney, so not published by Disney. So before I close this video, I just want to tell you that the author of these books, Kara Swanson, is the daughter of missionaries. She has no connection whatsoever to Disney. She's the daughter of a missionary, or of missionaries, and she is a Christian, and she's a part of, the Rebellion, which is a teenage rebellion against low expectations. She's a part of the Young Writers Workshop. She's a young author, like me. Of course, I'm breaking myself up. I'm not that good of an author, but there's a large network. If you are somebody who's watching my videos, that's cool. That's awesome. I don't know who you are, whether you're an older person, whether you're a younger person. That's awesome. But if you haven't heard about it, and I'm not really associated with it too much, but there's a large network of young people who are writers, and there's like this Young Writers Workshop. It's kind of for homeschoolers, but kind of just for any young person. And they've made some amazing authors, and Kara Swanson is one of the amazing authors, and she's a best-selling author of like this book that I just talked about today. And by the way, if you, these books are definitely worth the read. You can find them on Amazon or wherever you buy books. And of course, I'm going to include an affiliate link in the description of this video. One thing I love about reading ebooks with the Amazon Kindle app is just that you can highlight different quotes and different sentences and things that stick out to you while you're reading the book. I did that I didn't do that overly much as I was reading these books, but there is just one kind of, I don't know what you call it, mushy-gushy quote that I did highlight and just sort of read to you here. This was Clara, the main character of the book. She's talking about Peter Pan here. She said, I touch his face. I want to be like this together, always, no matter how old we grow. And that's it. No context whatsoever. That's the quote. I'm going to read it again just because it's so good. Okay, it's not really that good. I say that about every book and every quote, even though it's not that good, but whatever. I touch his face. I want to be like this together, always, no matter how old we grow. Yeah, but these books are, like I said, they're more than romance novels. They're powerful stories about how the darkness can be overcome. The darkness can be defeated. And so I don't know what darkness you have in your own life, but let me tell you something. It can be defeated. It can be conquered. But not alone. Not alone. Not by yourself. If you if you have never, and I know I haven't talked about Jesus Christ overly much here on my YouTube channel, but I'm sure, if you're watching this YouTube video, you probably have heard about Jesus Christ before. He's the light of the world. And if you have never accepted him into your heart, I encourage you just to open up your lift up your hands, open up your heart, and just allow Jesus Christ, the light of the world, to come into your life and just shine some light into it, and to chase away all the darkness that is in your life. If you've never, accepted him. And you can find out more about that in the description of this video, or by subscribing to my main YouTube channel, Non-Resistant Really, because I want to help you and I want to encourage you to start a relationship with God, and I want to help you grow in your relationship with God. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell to be notified of every video I upload.